I was talking over with the professor, and we were talking about, hey, what should I work on with the students tonight? And he told me you guys have been working a lot of guard attacks from like single leg X guard, spider guard, and all that. I said, perfect. I'll show the opposite, right? It usually works out best, right? It's good to know both sides of the coin, how to attack, how to defend it. So I'm going to show you guys 3 to 4 passes tonight that will help you deal with someone playing that guard against you. So we're going to start with single leg X, then transition to X guard, then spider. So I'm going to have Philippe on his back right here. Now let's start in single leg X first, right? Usually when we get put in single leg X, usually the person on bottom will transition to X guard, and it usually starts from here though, right? Now let's say once we get here, there's a few things you guys want to keep in mind right away. Pressure. You want to make the person on bottom feel your weight. So how do we do that? From here, if I stay upright like this and try to peel this foot off my hip, which eventually we will, I'm going to give him the opportunity to bridge up and out to the outside over his left hip and knock me down to my side. That's what he wants to do from this position here, right? And it's usually when I start defending that where he starts transitioning to the X guard or other, maybe a back take or a submission like that. So eventually we'll get this foot off the hip, but the first thing we need to do is put our weight down. So what I like to do here is pivot on my leg or on my foot that's in between his 2 legs here. So right now he has my right leg controlled. So I'm going to go onto the ball of my foot, so my heel comes up off the mat, and I pivot on the ball of my foot. Look how I changed my angle here. So now I'm facing you guys. Instead of facing Philippe straight on here, where he can bridge up and over, it becomes a problem for us on top. So I have to take the angle away. So the first thing I do is I pivot, and I drop my knee to the belly button. Aim for the belly button. So I pivot, 1, 2, and I drop my weight. Now, once I drop my knee to the belly here, I'm using my back leg, which is my left foot, to drive into Philippe here. Again, I'm taking away one of his biggest tools, which is sweeping me over this way, towards his left. Now, it's going to be very hard for him to do so. Second, it's heavy here, I know. Second, usually, like I said, the single leg X is a great guard, and usually you see people transition from this guard to the X guard. For the X guard, he wants to underhook this leg and bring the leg onto the shoulder, right? When I pivot and put my knee through the belly going towards the mat, my leg becomes a lot heavier. So if he goes to reach underneath my leg and pull it to his shoulder, it's a lot more difficult for him to do that. Does everybody see that? So get comfortable pivoting down and dropping your weight down in this position here. You can see already his foot is disconnecting naturally from my hip. It's up by my pec, by my rib cage here, which is good for us on top. So again, he gets the single leg X, right? Boom. Once you get here, you're going to pivot, pick your heel up, and drop that knee to the stomach here. Now, once I get here, guys, what I like to do is look to peel the foot off the hip now. Now is a great time to do so. When I peel the foot off the hip here, I'm going to grab with the hand that's closest. So it's going to be my right hand grabbing at his toes. Now, when I peel this off here, I'm going to look to peel like a heel hook here. So I push against the toes here where it's uncomfortable for him. He wants to let go now. Now, once I peel that foot off my hip here, if I just peel and let go of the foot, he's going to bring that foot right back to my hip here, right? As soon as I peel that foot off the hip here, look how I dip my right hip towards his head here. So I start moving my leg, my left leg, up towards midnight. Everyone see that? So now I'm here. My right hip's dipping towards his head here. So now if he tries to bring his left foot back over to my hip here, that space is crowded. Everyone see that there? Great way to go about attacking that position there. So again, we drop our weight down. I grab at the toes here, guys, and push the toes out behind you here. It's going to be like a heel hook motion on the leg here. Of course, don't wrench it, right? We're here drilling with one another, but I'm going to put a little bit of pressure here and then peel it off my hip here. Look how I move my left leg here like the hands of a clock. This way I can get my hip closer to his head here. Now, once we got into this position here, I need to anchor down. When I anchor down, the right hand that grabbed that foot is going to grab the collar, just like this. Once I grab the collar, my left hand is going to anchor down on the opposite hip here. So I'm going to grab the hip. I grab the gi pants right by his hip. Now I'm in tight. From here, the next step is to lift the hips up. When I lift my hips up here, I'm going to fit my left knee underneath his right leg here. We're going to end up in a leg weave here. It's a pass that most of you guys should feel familiar with. It's an easy transition to it though. Right from here, I lift my hips up and I pivot on my feet and I drive my left knee inside. Everyone see that? Now from here, I kick the right leg out, I kick my post out. Once I kick my post out, I feel comfortable allowing my chest to drop down over the top of his right leg here. This way you can't pull the right leg out. Once I get my chest over the top here, I'm gonna grab the hip now, so I let go of the pant grips. I hug his lower back. Now the next step is to get closer to his head. Now, only after I've dropped my chest and grabbed his hip here is when I continue to move forward. When I go to move forward here, my left foot is making a hook behind his left leg right now. Everyone see my left foot behind his leg right here? This one right here? Once I've got my weight on top of Philippe here, I feel comfortable letting go of that hook and pivoting up towards his head here. So I'm gonna pivot on the left knee, and I always say, easy way to remember what to do here, try to kick your partner in the head with your outside leg. Here. Everyone see that? Now I'm here. I'm basically in side control while maintaining his right leg in between my two legs and underneath me here. Now, usually what's gonna happen here, I can almost guarantee it, the person on bottom will try to push against your hip here. They wanna create space. Once you feel that frame come in, which by the way is a good sign, whenever you get your partner pushing against you from the guard position, you're doing a great job of putting your weight down on them. So once we get here, I can let go of the collar. We pull up on that frame here. Now I get my right knee to his hip, above his knee. Here. Nice and simple. Once we bring that knee to the hip here, I can let go of his arm. Now there's no space for him to get that frame back in, right? Once we let go of that arm, I like to grab the head, little cross face, and now simple. I'll give you guys the option. You guys can go either way. We can either slide the left leg up to the other side of the body and take the full mount, or we can windshield wipe here. 1, 2, kick the left leg back, and we go to our side control. There's a lot of steps in this one here, but we just broke it down like that. This way it's easy for everyone to understand every step of the way. So again, one more time. We're gonna start in single leg X here. We gotta take away his main weapon, which is sweeping us to the outside, right? I can't allow him to bridge up and bump over his left hip. So right away, I'm gonna pivot on the foot that's in between his two legs here. So it's my right foot. I'm gonna pivot on the ball of my right foot and drop my knee to the stomach here. Once you pivot here, you drop the knee to the stomach here. And make sure to move this leg back with you. Change your angle. So right now, think about it this way. We're in a straight line. I can see Philippe straight on. I don't wanna look at him anymore, so I'll look away. Once we get here, you get nice and low. Sink your hips down. Once I'm nice and low here, guys, I grab these toes here. Push them back as I peel them off. Now, once I have this foot off the hip here, as soon as you let go, make sure you move your body out like the hands of a clock up towards midnight. Everyone see that? Now I'm gonna anchor down. When I anchor down, I grab the collar and I grab the pants on the outside hip here. I pull myself in. Lift your hips up, pivot again. Look how my left knee goes inside. Fits in like a puzzle piece, it's perfect. Now from here, I drive in, kick your post out, chest down, hug the hip. When we hug the hip, remember the Lamborghini door. I hug the hip. I'm basically keeping my left arm parallel to the lower back, hip area for the sole purpose of killing the hip escape. This way you can't hip out. So I hug the hip on his far side. Once we get here, I release the hook with my left foot and just move up. Again, moving up towards midnight. Here. Once I move up here, my left knee's at his hip here. I know you guys can't really see too well, but my left knee is making contact with his hip here. It's on the mat, but pushed against his hip, all right? I'm here on my toes, chest down, hugging his hip, and I still have the collar. Now, once we get here, Philippe's gonna push against my hip here. He wants to create space. We're gonna lift up on the arm, pull up. Now, when I pull up on the arm here, now I gotta fill this space in here. Because if I let go of the arm, he's gonna go back to framing against the hip, right? As soon as I lift the arm up, I fill the space in. Look how I bring my my right leg to his hip, above his knee. Everyone see that? Once we get that knee to the hip, now I feel comfortable letting go of the arm. He can't frame against my leg anymore. There's no space for him to do so. I'm gonna cross face him. Once we cross face, again, it's up to you guys here. We can either windshield wipe and kick back for the side control, or my favorite here is going up to the full mount. Now we're up in the full mount, good dominant position here. Now we can start looking towards our submission or working towards whatever you like. Arm bar, gift wrap, back take, many options there. You guys want to see that pass one more time? Yes, absolutely. So again, you find yourself in single leg X, right? First thing that should come in mind, put your weight down on your partner. Do not let them bridge up and over the outside. So on your toes here, you pivot and you drive. I'm driving off my back leg here, driving my knee into the stomach here, making it harder for him to bridge me up over the outside of his left hip. He will try to sweep me over this way. Go ahead. It's tough, right? I'm driving into, I'm letting my weight just lay over the top of him. Grab that foot. You can see how the foot's no longer on my hip. When I stay tall, it's perfectly at the hip here, right? He's got good control. Exactly. Here though, try to move around. It's not as easy anymore. We grab that foot, I peel it. Look, I move myself out towards the head here. I grab my 2 anchor points at the hip and the opposite collar. Lift your hips up in the air. I pivot as I drive my left knee inside in between the 2 legs here. Should be perfectly in position for you guys. Now I kick my post out, hug the hip, and I drop my chest. Once we drop the chest here, I feel comfortable letting go of the hook with my left foot. I let go, and I pivot higher up. Now he starts pushing against my hip here. Pull the frame out, knee to the hip, grab the head. Either you kick back for the side control, or we slide up the other side of his body for the full mount. Now we're on top, ready to finish the fight. Let's give this a shot here, guys. Go back and forth, 2 for 2 on 3. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful clap.